Guys, what is going on? Welcome back to Quick Notes with Croissant. Today we're going to be talking about the book Limitless by Jim Kwik. Now, it's a really interesting book. He's actually an author and he's a part of the 10X movement with Grant Cardone. What I really liked about it is it has a legitimate process that you can start applying in your life to make sure that you actually look towards achieving your goals, whether it's understanding what it is that you're doing, the motivation behind it, and a process that's follow through. His actual 3 steps towards it is 1, mindset, conquering your mindset, understanding that, getting in the right place. The second one is motivation, and finally the third one is method. And he also breaks it down in a synonymous way with possibility, purpose, and process. He utilizes basically a Venn diagram with the 3 to tell you what you get when you only have 1 of the 2 or 2 of the 3, but what you actually are able to achieve when you have all 3 working in unison. So let's first establish the first thing. So it's mindset. So this is arguably probably one of the hardest things, most difficult things to get right. Now, the easiest way to build your mindset is essentially by reading books or plugging into mentorship. Finding people who can essentially help program you, develop you through your environment, through your actions every single day in order to make you more of a, motivated individual. If you can understand your mindset, get in the right stuff, whether it's characteristics, whether it's those disciplines and stuff like that that are in place, then first of all, you're able to essentially conquer anything. Now let's talk about the next thing. So motivation. Now what I really liked about this book is they utilize motivation more as your goal-orientated thinking versus the typical motivation, which a lot of success books talks about, where it's essentially when doing stuff when you feel good. This book really utilizes motivations more as like understanding your why. So whenever you're starting a new goal, what you want to do is start with the end in mind. Why is it that you're looking towards working this job? Why is it that you're looking towards pursuing this career? Because you're wanting a certain result by the end of it. So motivation realistically means why is it that you're doing it? So whether it's something as crazy as wanting to be a billionaire or something as more common as wanting to raise the correct family, motivation really is it's your purpose. It's what's driving you, what you're focusing on while you're doing it. When times do get tough, when times do, obviously get to you, obviously it gets harder, the motivation period is what you're focusing on. So, and it talks about how when you only have the 2, you basically accomplish, you become inspired, and you have a level of, you become inspired. That's essentially what you have. So you have inspiration. When you have the correct mindset and you have the correct motivation, then you become inspired. You have a level of inspiration, but it's sort of like you're limited there because you don't know exactly where to go from there. And so with those 2 in itself, although incredibly important, and by chances are you might be able to achieve something, there's a third part of the equation that you have to add in order to essentially develop and experience success, and that's methodology or process. So method and process. So this third part of the Venn diagram basically talks about so with the correct mindset and the correct motivation, understanding why it is that you're doing, you obviously need a method, you need a process, you need the way that you're going to achieve your goal. Now, when this all comes together, that's how you develop a limitless mindset or a limitless reality, because you have unlimited potential, there's nothing that's holding you back. So this method, to put it into a simple example, say you have the motivation of wanting to go to the NBA. That's your absolute goal, you want to go to the NBA. And your mindset's there, you're ready to put in the disciplines, you're ready to have the drive, you understand that it's going to take a lot of hard work. And then imagine if you didn't have a process towards getting there, in terms of you didn't have a training program, you didn't understand exactly what to do, you didn't know where to go, where to be. And that's what the method comes in. It's making sure you do that 1,000 shots a day, whether it's free throws or 3-pointers, whatever it is that you're working on. And all of that accumulates towards essentially equaling success. And you can't realistically have one without the other. Now, in my opinion, different people will have different struggles with each sort of circle. For example, mine would be method. Method would be really easy for me to understand, but it might be a little bit difficult for me to understand mindset at first. Okay, and so on, and you'll find mix and match. Like a lot of people, they have a lot of motivation. They understand exactly what it is that they're looking towards doing. They know their goal, they know their why, but they lack the mindset department or the method department. So it's all about basically becoming a well-rounded person and understanding that success is essentially, it's an equation between all 3, mindset, motivation, and method. And once you have all 3 of those down, then success ends up becoming a thing. See, the book talks about how if you have essentially different, only 2 out of the 3, you get different results. For example, if you only have a correct mindset with correct method in terms of what it is that you're doing, all that ends up happening is that you get an ideation, or you end up working a job that you don't necessarily believe in. That's why people end up working 40 years, making a lot of money, like 6 figures and stuff like that, but they're not necessarily passionate about the work. And the reason is because they have a lack of control and creativity, maybe a control in their impact and general control overall. And that's because they lack what it is they're doing. They've just fallen into these these work habits, and although they might be getting paid really, really solid money or decent income, it's not feeling fulfilled because they have that lack of control because they're not working towards what it is that they're looking towards accomplishing. On the other side of the spectrum, if you have someone who's highly motivated and has a method but lacks mindset, you get implementation. So all of a sudden, they have the method towards doing it, and they have that success oriented mindset where they know exactly what they're working for, but they're struggling in order to fulfill it. And that's because they lack that mindset, whether it's the disciplines in order to continually do the right things every single day, put yourself in the right places, and so on and so on and so on. And so it's essentially you need an equation between all three where all of them come together to develop a limitless person. So now the difficult thing is understanding where you're lacking. Because if every single person, if you had all three, you'd already be successful. That's the truth. So you need to be humble, you need to be honest, either ask your mentor, ask someone else, and literally put aside your ego and be like, hey, what is it that I'm lacking in? Explain to them the diagram. So the diagram is really simple. It just goes, mindset's one circle, motivation's the other, method is the other. Method or possibility, purpose, and process. And ask them, where do you think I'm lacking? Most people might find themselves lacking in method because nowadays method really represents the opportunity. Method represents the way that you're going to achieve something, and I understand that that's tough to develop, but if you have the mindset in place and the motivation there, then you're going to be resourceful. So you have to be basically honest with yourself and put aside your ego and ask someone close to you and be like, hey, where is it that I'm lacking? Where is it that I might need help? What is it, the aspects that I need to work on? And honestly, if they do point it out to you and they don't necessarily have a solution, my easiest solution to you would be literally reading books. I would read this Limitless book. There's so many aspects to it. It's a very, how do you say, specific orientated reading in terms of how it's a lot of process. So if you're a person who's not necessarily likes a lot of stories, that's understandable. Be prepared for that one. But if you're a person who likes to sort of get straight to the point, understand exactly what they need to implement in their lives, then this is the type of book that I highly suggest you read. It is a pretty new book. It's just recently come out, so don't expect too many reviews on it just yet. But I really do like how he broke down all three different aspects in order to basically present it to you in a very simplistic form so that you can understand. So where do you go from there? Let's say you do understand you're lacking in mindset, you're lacking in motivation, well, the good news is that if you do read the book, it gives you solutions all. But I would suggest straight away reading more books. If you can start towards implementing a lot of daily habits, because that's essentially what mindset is, it's setting up the correct disciplines in order to achieve the correct results that you're looking for. Your habits will dictate your future. So if you can basically look towards reading at least 15 minutes a day, no matter what the book is, or as long as it's orientated towards personal development, then of course it's going to help develop your mindset, develop you closer to the goal. Because that's how you basically work through our mindset. Mindset is how you think, how you approach certain situations. Method is literally the opportunity that you're utilizing, whether it's your training regimen, whether it's your business that you're working on or the job that you have. And motivation is literally just why you're doing anything. So understanding all three different aspects, I would argue that mindset's probably the most difficult to mold because it's very easy to figure out an individual's motivation just through asking. And a method can be given to someone, but mindset is very difficult to develop, especially if you're above the age of 25 and you're sort of a little bit more set in your ways. And the way that you need to get out of that is essentially by plugging into people who have what you want. So developing a level of mentorship, learning from the people who have accomplished what you're looking at to accomplish. That is the number one, most easiest way. If you want to learn how to start a business, talk to business owners. If you want to become an athlete, talk to athletes. If you want to become a gym owner, talk to a gym owner. It's really simple. It's not rocket science. Now, it might be difficult to set up these relationships, but get out there. What do you have to lose? And all that's going to happen is someone's going to be like, no, I'm not going to teach you, whatever. Okay, so you can put yourself out there. That's the number one thing. If you can set it up, always look towards striving a level of mentorships. Always looking to be learning. You want to be the dumbest person in the room. Yeah, and then the next thing is to develop your mind is reading, constantly reading. 15 minutes a day is not going to make a difference in day one. But after a year's time of 15 minutes, that might be 15 books across the year, you'll come out a completely different person. The average CEO reads 52 books a year. That's one book a week. And if that's what a CEO is doing, then what are you doing? So you need to at least duplicate some of the results to get some of the results. So that's what I'd suggest doing in order to motivating yourself, figuring out exactly where it is that you set in terms of the Venn diagram and stuff like that. So just to summarize really quick, there's 3 steps that equal success: mindset, motivation, and method. You have to conquer all 3 in order to become limitless. And limitless means you have unlimited potential, unlimited opportunity, and unlimited resources in order to achieve whatever it is that you're looking at to accomplish. Finally, it's going to take time to understand which one it is. Figure out which one you're lacking most in. Make it no longer a weakness, but rather a strength. Not necessarily a strength, sorry. Bring it up to the standard where it's not going to hinder you. And capitalize on whatever aspect is your strengths. Understand that method is essentially what path you're choosing towards entering your success. Motivation is your why. So don't feel as if motivation is when you feel good. No, it's what keeps you on track, whether it's focusing on your children, focusing on your wife, or focusing on whatever the goal that you're wanting to achieve. And finally, mindset. Mindset is how you approach these problems, how you view it versus thinking it's too big, making sure that you have that problem-solving mindset. Anyways, guys, that's it for Quick Notes with Croissant. Thanks for watching the video, but don't stop there whenever it comes to improvement. Keep looking at the other videos we have on the channel to put yourself in a better position for success. I'll see you in the next one.